Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and we've got more legendaries, more colossal minions to cover, and they are looking really powerful, especially this new warrior one we have here, this giant, great Thresher, 7 mana 5/5 beast. Stats not that insane, right? Seems a little pricey, but its effect is pretty insane. So we have Colossal +1, Battlecry, discover 3 pirates to crew the ship. So its ship is a 5 mana 2/6 taunt with Death Rattle. Add the crew to your hand and they cost 1. So you basically get to discover 3 pirates. Then on top of that, when the ship dies, you're going to get all of the discovered pirates that you picked, and they all cost 1 mana. And as we know, there's some pretty powerful pirates right now. I'm sure they're also even going to print more, but we have like Smite. We've got pirates that give weapons. We've got Rush pirates that draw cards, and because they're all pirates and they're all cost 1, and if you do hit Smite, they're all going to have charge. So this just seems like a very powerful, very annoying card. And on top of that, stat-wise, it's a 7 mana, what is that, 7/11? And half of it has taunt, and it doesn't need to die in any particular order. Like, there's no weakness to this, right? It doesn't like the Murloc one, where if the Murloc dies, but the appendage doesn't, you kind of lose out on that board AoE. It's not like the Tentacle one where you want them to ramp up. Like, this is just inherently good value in this Colossus here. And he's one of the cheaper ones at 7 mana. He's not 8, he's not 9. He seems really, really good. And as we know, Pirate Warrior is already an annoying class to deal with. Not one of my favorite Quest Pirate Warrior. And this doesn't really bode well to not see Quest Pirate Warrior anymore. I was really hoping they'd push something other than Pirates and Warrior. But this is what we have. I would have liked to see mechs, maybe Naga Warrior. But Pirates it is. Not a fan of this, but it is a very powerful card. Taking a look at the cool Druid stuff we got going on here, we have a new Druid legendary, 7 mana 4/5 Hedra, the Heretic Battlecry. For each spell you've cast while holding this, summon a minion of that spell's cost. This is insane. This is big value. Druid's all about big cards, big value, big spells. This encapsulates all of what Druid wants to do in a card. It also has that Naga tag. However, it needs to be in your hand when you play these spells, right? And this makes for a terrible top deck, right? This is only good if it's sitting in your hand when you're playing these spells. So it does have a huge downside to it, but the upside on this bad boy is massive. You know, being able to play 2, 3, 4 cards ahead of time that are all spells. We know Druid plays a shit ton of spells, and then just throwing those minions up on the board, whether you're even summoning, you know, only 3 to 5, 6 cost minions because those are the spells that you play. It's still a lot of minions on board, and as we know, Druids love to run buffing stuff, survival of the fittest, arbor up, given some of those cards are rotating. I'm sure that we'll get more Druid buff cards, right? So this card seems very, very powerful, but does have a glaring weakness, which is a terrible top deck, and if you draw it and have already played a lot of your spells, it is also pretty bad. So in order for this card to be good, it needs to be bad, which means it makes it okay, not overpowered, right? Because it has to sit in your hand a little bit in order to become powerful, which I like. You know, very powerful effects have drawbacks to them, and those drawbacks are what makes the card powerful, because you have to pay prices for that. You pay mana for abilities. Not paying mana for stats and having insane abilities lead to broken cards. We don't like broken cards because it leads to unfair and not interactive gameplay. So again, seems like very fair design. Interested to hear what you have to think on this one right here, but yeah, seems very fair. All right, we got another powerful Druid card here. We have Miracle Growth. Draw 3 cards, summon a plant with taunt and stats equal to your hand size. So drawing 3 cards, we have cards like Nourish and stuff that were valued at like 6 mana, and that's all you do. So for 1 more mana, you draw 3 cards, and if your hand is like a 7/7, you get a 7/7 plant with taunt. If you have a full hand, you get a 10/10 plant with taunt. This seems like a good, of course, good draw card. It adds to the pool of cards that make the new legendary pretty great as well, right? You now have it in the Discover pool. Druid actually in the rotation is losing a shit ton of ramp and a shit ton of draw. So replacing Nourish, which I'm assuming that won't be in the core set, with something like Miracle Growth is a little bit more competitive. And again, paying a decent amount of mana, 7 mana's a lot of mana, to just draw some cards and then summon, you know, a minion based on the hand size. Seems good. I mean, it seems like a very fair, solid card. Nothing too crazy, not super high RNG for, you know, expenses, not in a Yogg box, right? So I like it. It's very on point with Druid. We have one more interesting card here that's not on the website but was released, and it's this Paladin card here. It's a 10 mana holy spell. Give a minion +5/+5 and Divine Shield, cost 1 less for each mana you spent on holy spells this game. So again, huge holy synergy coming from Paladin. Tons of cards that either revolve around buffing the minions, playing holy spells, drawing holy spells. So for a class that's as smooth as Libram Paladin, and a deck that's just so incredibly difficult to play with tons of diversity, we're seeing basically just a switch from Librams to holy spells. I don't know how I feel about this, because just Paladins and buffing, this is not new. Like, you can just change the name. Instead of Libram, it's called a Garden's Grace. But just, I wish at one point we had Silverhand recruit synergies and, officers that would buff them, giving them Divine Shield. The quest kind of did some stuff with the hero power and Silverhand recruits. But the problem is, we've seen that before in previous, metas. And we've seen buffs, right? So actually one of the best times in Paladin was when they had Murlocs and they had Anything Can Happen, which was a really fun Paladin deck. Shrivala Paladin was a very fun Paladin deck, very high skill level as well. And the Paladin cards and decks that are currently being pumped out are not difficult to play. They're not that fun, no offense. And while this looks like a fantastic card, this looks like an insane card, right? It's going to be a 0 mana +5/+5 Divine Shield holy card, right? This is just going to be insane. But this isn't necessarily super fun. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't scream, oh, wow, a skillful card. This just, you put it into a holy deck, which I don't like. I don't like auto-include cards. I don't like just instantly, if you're playing a holy Paladin, I'm sure you're going to be playing this every time, right? Just every time. And I just don't like that design philosophy. And I also just don't like the boringness to it. So while this is going to most likely be an extremely powerful card, I just do not like it at all. And with that, that's pretty much all of the interesting cards that they have so far for us. As more cards and more interesting stuff continues to get pumped out and posted, I will go over it, and if nothing more is interesting, I will not go over it. So the cards have to be cool to keep getting reviews from me. So with that, thanks again, guys, for watching. Remember to like and leave a comment if there's anything that you have questions on and or want to make further note of that I didn't touch on as much as you would have liked. So with that, thanks again for watching. I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.